Hi and welcome to this Fireside Chat hosted by the Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, Pune, also known as SIMC. My name is Sneha Gore Mehendale and I am a faculty member here at SIMC, and joining me today for this Fireside Chat are some of my esteemed colleagues. I have with me Dr. Ruchi Kher Jaggi, Director of SIMC. Along with her is Dr. Sushoban Patankar, Deputy Director of SIMC and the Program Head for MA Journalism and Media Industries, and Professor Mithunchandra Chaudhari, Program Head for MA Film, Television and Digital Production. The plan is to have a freewheeling chat about the changing face of media and communication industry at large. I would like to start with Ruchi ma'am. Ma'am, till a few years ago, mass comm used to be quite a popular term, and from there we have seen a major shift happening in the industry. So how would you look at this particular shift or the ways in which media comm industry is changing as a whole?
Thank you, Dr. Sneha. Well, I think mass communication as a term has become very, very outdated, to put it very simply. Somewhere, the whole idea of mass communication education emanated from how the media industry was responding to the social, cultural, political, economic changes over the last so many decades. Having said that, the last 10 years, for lack of a better word, have been nothing short of dizzying in terms of how media technologies have impacted the way the society, politics, economics around us works. And I think as educational institutions which have been the pioneers of media education in this country, somewhere a place like Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication has always taken cognizance of these sort of changes and transformed and responded in terms of bringing curricular changes. And while we have been upgrading our curriculum for years, looking at what's happening in the industry, but also how to integrate critical thinking, powerful discourses in the conversations that happen in and beyond the classrooms, somewhere it was high time for us to reimagine the whole idea of what this education now represents. And I think we no longer represent a world which has anything to do with mass communication. I think when each of us can choose what we want to consume in terms of media content and have this very, very unprecedented kind of agency as a member of the audience, imagine what it does for the creator. And that's what media education is all about, being nimble, being agile, being adaptable, and taking note of this transformation. And therefore, it was high time that we reimagine the nomenclature of our degrees themselves. And we decided to make this change, and from this year onwards, instead of calling our MA degree as a mass communication degree, we have decided to diversify and bifurcate into two exclusive programs. So our first program is going to be an MA in Journalism and Media Industries. Of course, my colleague Sushoban will talk a little bit more about the journalism program, but we do want to create a more multi-pronged approach to the idea of how to also revisit journalism education as a 360-degree communications program. And our audiovisual specialization, which was always so much aligned to conversations, skills, art and craft of filmmaking, to now call it by its name. And therefore, we call it MA Film, Television and Digital Production. So I think it is not just responding, but also being pioneers of bringing in the much needed transformations that media education requires.
Right. This transformation, this thought I am bringing specifically to journalism now. So Shobhan, how do you see the changes which are happening in journalism as a domain?
Right. Thanks, Sneha, for this fireside chat. And when we talk about changes to journalism over the past 25 years, it's from print to television, from television to digital. Things have changed significantly, especially in news media. And everybody talks about platformization, talks about algorithms, talks about digital media, talks about programming and so many different things. So what to incorporate, how to adapt to these technologies is always a challenge for industry as well as for academia. So we try to incorporate all these changes into our course curriculum, and that's the reason why we have a course on social media and AI applications in journalism. Now, if students look at the course curriculum, it talks about certain tools, but it's not the full and final list. of tools that we are going to discuss or we are going to teach to our students. When I say discuss, in the sense, it's not a program where we are going to give them some tools or ABCD of certain tools. They are expected to work with certain tools on their own. So hence we call it as discuss, So that's the core of this program, where we have AI applications for journalism is one important thing that we have incorporated considering the changes. But at the same time, a master's program is about longevity of whatever they learn in the classroom. And if students, let's say, decide to move from journalism to some other field associated with communication industry going forward, they can probably look at getting into branded content probably, or maybe they can think about getting into let's say strategic communication. So we also have those kind of courses in the third semester as minors. So that ensures that we introduce students not just to journalism and technology in journalism, but along with that we introduce other tracks associated with communication industry. So at the end of 2 years, students are aware of everything related to journalism, but along with that we open newer avenues for them by introducing newer courses, or courses such as strategic communication, courses such as branded content into the program, that will introduce them to another possibility probably 5 years later, or maybe immediately after they graduate from SIMC. So all in all, MA program in journalism and media industries, it actually covers all of these things, and that is the reason why, as Dr. Ruchi said, we have moved from mass communication to journalism and media industries, just to give an indication that we are not restricted to journalism, but we are also offering you something much more than journalism in our program.
Right. The same thought of how technology has impacted a particular domain and the changes it has brought along. Mithun, have you also been seeing the same pattern when it comes to film production as an industry?
Absolutely. Sneha, thanks for the question and lovely chat here. So basically, I remember one incident when I was working on a film in 2007. So I was assisting in the post-production process. So as an assistant, I had to take those film reels, cellulite films, cans, to the chemical labs in Mumbai, and do the processing and develop them and get them back and take them to the editing thing. So I mean, film, so to speak about film, it was always cellulite films to start with, and sound recording was done separately, most of the time synchronized sound. So and then it has to be edited very precisely with human perfection, imperfection, physically and manually in the lab. The editor used to look at the 24 frames in the on the reel and cut it precisely, and then literally stick it with the glue or tapes. So that was the process of filmmaking, technically speaking. And of course, the projection used to happen in film theaters, which was those fragile. I mean, I remember how fragile these cans were, and it was not allowed. You cannot take them in trains, for example, because they are inflammable and all that, and of course, very costly. And so projections also used to happen in theaters, where theaters were equipped to screen these kinds of films, which are cellulite films. So now, even with television, I mean, the analog thing started, and the satellite television or the cable television, because everything was analog. The shooting was analog, the editing was analog, and of course, the broadcasting was analog. And then slowly coming into of digital, filmmaking, so to say. I mean, it has gone through so many changes, and coming to smartphones. Smartphones took it forward, and you have autofocus, you have stabilizer, you have let's say you can work in low light, and you can record the sound in the same device, and of course you can broadcast it immediately globally on those let's say social platforms like YouTube or Instagram. So it has undergone a sea change as far as film, television, and this industry is concerned.
In fact, one of the very obvious, let's say, a measure or an impact or a manifestation of these changes is also emergence of a lot of new jobs or job roles or occupations which did not really exist before. I actually want to ask you, Sushoban, have you been seeing any such emergence of new job roles or professions in the journalism domain? Something that did not, say, really exist 5 or 7 years before, but it is very, very prominent right now.
So most important, job role one can say is about, news verification, because of social media and these AI tools and very easy to use digital tools, it is easier to manipulate images, manipulate videos, manipulate audio. So it is very important to have some kind of a talent pool, or maybe people who can actually find out these videos and these audios if these are actually produced by genuine people. So news verification is new job role that has emerged over the past 8-10 years. But of course, over the past 3-4 years, what has happened because of AI tools, even that job role is also somewhere is outdated. Now is the time, what is more important is, a person who understands how to write prompts. That also becomes very important in journalistic organizations. So going forward, maybe 2 years later, a journalist who knows how to write good prompts is a very valued asset in a newsroom. So that is a kind of new job role I see which is emerging in coming years. At the same time, maybe 25 years ago or maybe even 10 years ago, a camera person used to shoot a video for a news reporter. But nowadays, a news reporter is actually a camera person too. So we have mobile journalism as one area where we are training students over the past 5 years, where students are required to use mobile phones for shooting videos. So we teach them how to shoot videos in vertical mode as well as in horizontal mode. So that's a new, I won't say job role, but when you say mobile journalist, it encompasses a lot of things. You're a journalist, at the same time you're a camera person, you're an editor too, and maybe you're expected to edit the audio too. So over the years, these job roles are changing significantly. Nowadays, you're also presenter. You have to stand in front of your own mobile phone and start presenting or start doing anchoring for your own show. So that is also a new kind of job role. I won't say new job role, but you are expected to learn this particular skill too. At the same time, an area where you are an expert, like for example a podcaster. So even if you are a journalist, a television journalist, so to say, you are also expected to probably develop a podcast out of it. So that is also a new job role that is coming in, where you learn how to edit audio and create a podcast. So I think as a journalist, you're a convergent journalist, where you're a mobile journalist, you're a podcaster, maybe you're a person who knows how to write prompts, and at the same time how to crunch data using AI. So all these things are emerging very, very fast, and I think in coming 2 years, new job roles will emerge, such as mobile journalist, maybe a data journalist who understands AI, a prompt journalist, or let's say a AI prompt journalist, something like that. We don't know what are the possibilities, but I think SIMC's MA program at the end of 2 years will equip all our students who will take admission to this program.
Right. The same thought extending to the film production domain, and especially the digital production domain as we are seeing now. Can you sort of give me some professions or some job roles which did not really exist before, let's say 10 years ago, but are very much in vogue now?
Sure. I mean, for example, we all are talking about sustainability and climate change, and reducing the carbon footprint. So there are consultants who are now actually in the industry, and they are slowly coming up though. Who are consultants who will tell you that how to reduce carbon footprint on a film production set, or not just set but also in the post production process. Because sustainability, if our planet and we are going to sustain, then the industry is going to sustain, and that's absolutely true. So these kinds of very job roles which we haven't thought of, but they exist and they are coming up gradually. As Sushoban was also talking about, that a job of multitasking. So earlier we used to have specialized expert cinematographers, editors, and sound designers. Of course we do need them, and the basics and that core thing is not going to go anywhere, because I mean that is based on, these new things are based on all that. But one also has to understand the basic things of sound technology. At the same time, one has to handle the camera. At the same time, one has to understand, of course, writing process. And if you go later, one has to also understand where are we going to showcase it. The recent example of TVF, started in 2000, around 2000. So there you see that, the series, popular series, pictures, and the other one, I mean, they were so popular on YouTube. So basically the platforms are also changing. I mean, and we are consuming them on YouTube, and they have become quite popular. So basically the roles that you require to let's say curate the content curators for, let's say, streaming platforms, analysts, social media, let's say, managers and creators, content creators. So there you are actually scripting it, then you are actually visualizing it, shooting it, editing it, and even posting it, and probably also answering the feedback that you receive on social platforms. So those different kinds of jobs I see as coming, and multitasking jobs, as I said. And yeah, I think these are a few of the jobs that I can think of at the moment.
Right. So platforms are changing, people are changing, industries are changing, and the change that we see in industry, obviously, it is also going to have a reflection on the way media research or media academics also take shape. So, Ruchi ma'am, I want to ask you about this as somebody who has been deeply engaged in the field of media research for so many years now. How do you look at this change? How are these changes apparent in the media education or media research domain?
So I think we've spoken about a lot of things, and sometimes this information can be very overwhelming. That if so much is changing, then what else is going to change, and in what span of time? And for a young person who is looking very aspirationally to come study media, join the media industry, it could both be overwhelming and intimidating. So I think first things first, at the core of it, an aspiring media professional has to think of this journey as the journey to a more robust storytelling. Whether you are a journalist or a filmmaker or a content creator, and I think we have so much to learn from the young today, because they are so many of them are effectively content creators and influencers in the ways that they already have certain trajectories mapped out. But in all of this, sometimes there could be a preponderance of conversations on skills. While skills are core and they continue to stay the core of professional education, what we should think about when we come and do a postgraduate degree program is how aware and understanding are we of the context in which all of these skills evolve. Because skills will continue to evolve. Some of them will stay the same, some will upgrade a little bit, some of them will transform completely. But I think a thorough grounding in the context offers you something that Sushoban, that term he used, the longevity, as a professional, as an authentic storyteller. And I think media education has to, and it has over years, what I have observed is that media education has become more sure of its identity. Media education some 100 years back was responding to creating good journalists. Creating film schools were all about, like, do you know camera? Do you know editing? And let's train editors and camera persons and script writers and all of that. But I think over a period of time, what media education has been able to do is become a more cogent sort of a context, where while you need multiple skills to be a storyteller, your own understanding of the context you are operating from is paramount. And when I say that, I would like to kind of invoke this reference to our entire curriculum, which is absolutely focused on talking about culture, talking about society, talking about politics, also talking about what's happening in domains, not just through the lens of cinema, but through powerful documentary storytelling, through a lot of advertising. Actually, today, what happens on the social media is one of the most significant case studies that we use across our courses, right? So media research is integral to how we reflect on media. This is one domain which is so critical of itself, right? We critique the media, we criticize it, And then we also sit down to figure out how can we rectify the situation. And all of this gets inculcated into the curriculum. And that's why a postgraduate degree brings in that level of gravitas and that intensity for a media professional. Because skills will change. As a media professional, you will work on a new set of skills. As a media professional, you will learn new technologies. And for all of us who possibly have spent more than 2 decades in this domain, we know that how many new skills that we are trying to acquire today we hadn't ever heard of, and how much of what we already knew has slowly become irrelevant. However, what has stayed with us is the power of critical thinking, thought process, things we have read, imbibed, and the whole value that context setting does. And I think that is the entire endeavor in a true educational sense. And I think we've endeavored for it when we were calling our program mass communication, and we endeavor for it in the time to come, even when we call our degree as journalism and media industries or film, TV and digital production. But what it does is brings in more focus, offers us a better canvas, and that's also something that's reflecting in research. We are researching on audiences as being co-creators like never before. We are researching on concepts like streaming platforms like never before. 5 years back, we had worked on a project proposal talking about the soft power of streaming platforms. 5 years later, as we are closing on that project, we find scholars across the globe talking about a concept called streaming diplomacy, which was non-existent 5 years ago. So this is one domain which kind of also establishes its discourse in ways which are very relevant to the contemporary society, but also offers a futuristic lens. And that is what is integrated into not just media research academically, but also the conversations that happen within and beyond the classroom in programs like ours.
Very well said. In fact, extending that, one final question for all of you. Sushoban did mention it when he was talking about the changing nature of journalism. But increasingly, we have been seeing that AI, artificial intelligence, is perceived as a threat by most media professionals. And the general discourse also sort of pushes this view forward that AI is going to kill a lot of professions, and it is a problem for those who are engaged in creative pursuits. I want to ask each one of you, what is your take on this? Like, we have been, or a lot of people have been thinking of AI as a threat. Is there a way that we can look at it as an opportunity?
As Ruchi was talking about it, this program somewhere gives that context to student. I mean, whether it is journalism, whether it is film production, or in general why we also have focus on research is because as master's students you have to understand the context. And if you look at artificial intelligence, whether you call it agentic or general intelligence or whatever, what is important is context. People who understand, graduates who understand, students who understand how to find out the context, how to set that context for generating AI prompts, they are going to generate results which would actually be useful for utilization in media. So how you utilize AI, that is very important over here. If you ask simple questions and utilize it as a tool which anyone can use, maybe AI is threat for those people. But people who have deep understanding of context, people who know how to ask right kind of questions to this tool that is called as AI, will not take AI as a threat. They will set that context, they will ask right kind of questions, which by and large what we call as prompts, will never look at AI as a threat. They will in fact use it as a tool and add value to whatever content they are going to produce, whether it is for video, whether it is for podcast, whether it is for print. Ultimately, this AI will only add value to whatever content they are producing. So when it comes to MA program in media industries and journalism, setting that context, giving you that context is our ultimate aim. Technologies will come and go. Skills, you will have to keep attaining new skills, as Dr. Ruchi was saying right now. But understanding the context is one very important, significant value we are going to give our students in this program. And I think that is the most important thing as far as master's students at MA, those who are pursuing MA program at SIMC is concerned. We get faculty, we get researchers over here. They will talk to you about politics, they will talk to you about entertainment, they will talk to you about social issues, they will talk to you about social media and number of things here. It is not just about classroom training, it is also about getting outside the classroom and doing documentaries, doing news stories, doing audiovisual news stories, doing podcast. All of this is to give you some sense of what is happening around you, and finally give you a sense that how you are going to understand the context within which you are going to pursue your careers in journalism or larger media industry. So I think AI is not a threat, it's a tool. If you understand the context, you can utilize this tool very, very well.
Great. The same question to you, Mithun, and it sort of becomes more relevant because especially in the production domain, there is a lot of discourse which says that AI is going to eat jobs, and it's a big monster which is killing jobs of creative people. So how do you look at it as an opportunity and not as a threat?
While killing could be very graphical, but while AI, I think we are adapting to new situations. It's all about weight, size and time. For example, the weight of celluloid cans or cameras was very, they were bigger and they were more in weight, and then the size is shrinking. uh, uh, the labor, the physical labor that we had to put in for, let's say, shooting or editing was more, and the time that we were spending was quite more, and it is becoming less and less. And with AI, I think we are going to decrease that kind of time, weight and energy kind of a thing. But the process is not going anywhere. uh, for example, the AI will tell us what kind of genre films, let's say screenplays, writing, focusing on writing, like have worked in the past, and what were those elements that really resonated with the audiences. Of course, the humans would tell us, but we could also take their help and tell us, in some way, more structured way probably, or they could tell us what is the arc of a character that has worked in the past and is not working in your script, and probably they could predict the future also. So it's a great tool. And like weather predictions, we need more and more accuracy. I mean, AI is going to bring that, and we actually require that. So we are actually going to collaborate with AI, and I should say, actually AI is going to collaborate us. I mean, one thing is, like, we humans have created AI, and tell me why we humans will go anti-humans. I mean, in a larger set, I do understand the politics and the, influencing people and business people and those finance things, but this is going to help us. Of course, things are going to change, and I echo the sentiment of Dr. Ruchi and Dr. Sushoban, as they were saying that, you know, uh, the skills and techniques always evolve. The basic things, the process of filmmaking, let's say, I mean, storytelling, Dr. Ruchi was saying, talking about, is all about emotions, sentiments, and thank God or whatever, AI does not have it. So it is not going to threaten us anyway. It is we humans, because we are imperfect, we are weak, we are vulnerable. AI is not. AI is perfect, AI is structured, AI is formulaic, and that's what we need. So AI is going to support, but I am not going to. I'm not saying that there are no threats from AI, but time will tell what are those threats. But we are inculcating those thoughts and those perspectives and that critical thinking. What is it that is going to change with AI? How AI is going to help us in editing? For example, when we shoot and we get a lot of data, documentary films, especially that we do at in an institute also. So what happens is there's a lot of data and we don't understand how to segregate. So we ask the AI tool, let's say, that sort it for us, according to dates, according to locations, according to characters, and that's sorted. So that's not a really creative job that we are supposed to do. So I think that is going to help us. That is going to change the way we are working in the film industry, in the television industry. And our course is also, Sneha, like, it says film, television and digital production. So we are considering separately, and how AI or such new technologies and new things coming in the industry, like we are going to study them critically. We are talking about perspectives, we are talking about process, and these courses like producing and pitching, we are more focusing on how to produce and how to pitch, that we did not have in curriculum. We are talking about filmmakers lab in the curriculum, where a mid-career filmmaker will come and stay with the students for, let's say, a week or two, and they will be actually making films with their advanced digital technologies and things like. So they will be giving perspectives, they'll be giving, making us understand, the students, the process and the value of the process of filmmaking, let's say, in this case. So I think our course is quite updated, and we are not leaving the core behind. That was like, let's say, in sustainability, the process, the value of storytelling.
Well said, Mithun. Going to Ruchi ma'am for her final comment. Ma'am, along with what Mithun and Sushoban just mentioned, how do you look at AI as an opportunity?
I think, Sneha, it has been a while now that students are not just shifting jobs, they are shifting careers. And this is not a new conversation in our domain. The only difference is that right now we are holding artificial intelligence responsible for everything. They are saying it's because of AI, certain jobs are dying. Mithun kind of pictured the killing of jobs by AI, but we are having conversations on how AI is also generating new kinds of jobs we haven't heard about, right? But I remember, 25 years back when I sat for my orientation program during my PG, the then head of the department at my school said very similar things, that 2 years from now, when you head out into the media industry, you don't know what new skills will be required. So we can only train you with what we have right now. But what we assure you is like a sort of evolution of the mind. And that's what these 2 years will be about. And I think I still hold on to that. I still think that we will continue to have minds of our own. It's just a matter of how much importance do we give to the idea of our own minds and our intelligence. But artificial intelligence has changed the world. It is going to change the character of what is expected out of students when they enter the industry. But also, having said that, we also know no longer a student, at least who comes to pursue the kind of degrees that we offer, stays in one job or also stays in one career. And therefore, the world in that sense is also now getting more ready for younger people who have a mindset which is absolutely dynamic, right? And they are also not looking to do the same thing for the rest of their lives. And they are ready to accept, acknowledge, embrace this sort of a change. And if AI is one of the more impactful reasons why these changes are going to come in, well, that's the kind of also the mindset that is going to come to this sort of industry. And what the role of intermediaries like educational institutions in all of this is to continue to strengthen the mind of this young person, to be able to be stoic, of course, in all of these changes that they encounter, but also be competent, knowledgeable, aware, and more self-aware of how they will tackle all of this. And I think that is the core on which, the fulcrum on which we've worked very hard and in a very diligent way on offering that sort of multi-dimensional character to our curriculum in both our MA programs. And I think that is how I look at it, that well, AI is going to bring in new jobs, but who are we talking about? We are talking about people who also don't want to be stuck in that one job forever. In fact, they don't want to be stuck in one career forever. They want to have multiple careers, they want to have multiple opportunities, they want to do diverse things. And then so be it. Now, whether AI brings in that or other changes in the industry or the world we kind of today inhabit bring in that, well, that's what we prepare you for. And that's the whole idea of education.
Very, very true. To sum it up, this very nice discussion that we have been having, the industry or the domain of media communication is definitely changing. It is changing at a dizzying speed. Newer things are emerging. However, it's it's very essential to look at these changes with a positive frame of mind, with a lot of new skills that educational institutes like SIMC and the new programs are planning to imbibe in students through their different sort of courses which are being offered. At the end of the day, borrowing Ruchi ma'am's words, the endeavor of any educational program is to enable students to realize their full potential and to come out with, so to say, flying colors and be great professionals in the domain 10 or 15 years ahead. Thank you very much. I want to thank each one of you for joining this lovely fireside chat. I want to thank all the audience who has joined this chat. You can follow us at simc.pune on Instagram. You can follow our YouTube channel here. And we'll stop here for now. Thank you.